Today, we from Group 2, we present about the effect of varying evaporator and speed to system performance. Our group member are Mohamad, Nazmi, Naufal bin Khaifullizan, which is myself, and then Mohamad Najmi bin Norizan, Mohamad Azman bin Abu Bakar, and last one is Mohamad Faizul Amri bin Mohamad Badli. So we will start with the objective of the experiment. There are three objectives of this experiment. First, to describe the effect of evaporator fan speed to the suction pressure and evaporator air outlet temperature. Next, to calculate heat absorbed in the evaporator. And the last one is to analyze the effect of the evaporator fan speed to the system performance. Next, we will proceed to the theory of the experiment. First, the evaporator acts the opposite of the condenser, turning refrigerant liquid into gas, trapping heat in the compartment from the air. Next, the pressure was decreased as the liquid refrigerant entered the evaporator, dissipating its heat content and making it much cooler than the fan air circulating around it.
Okay, next I will continue for the discussion. First, as the fan speed increase, the value of the enthalpy also increase. This is because when the fan speed increase, the temperature of the liquid also increase, thus contribute to the higher in enthalpy of the system. And lastly, it will reduce the performance of the system since the internal energy of the system is high. Okay, next for the safety precaution. First, follow the instruction of the air conditioning system manufacturer and the refrigerant supplier. Second, wear the appropriate eye protection, glove and other protective equipment when handling the refrigerant or working on the system to protect against the effect of refrigerant, liquid or gas. Third, ensure that everyone using the equipment or working on the system has been properly trained and is adequately supervised. And then use approved equipment when maintaining or servicing the system. And lastly, identify the refrigerant in the system correctly before carrying out any work.
Okay, on this scale, this is the graph. Next, from the graph that has been plotted, we can analyze the behavior of enthalpy as the evaporator fan speed is varied. From this topic, we learn how to plot a graph of pressure against enthalpy. Third, moreover, we learn how to get enthalpy value from table A11. Lastly, furthermore, we learn how the enthalpy value can affect the air conditioning system performance. Observation. There are four main components in the channel, which is compressor, condenser, throttling valve, and evaporator. There are three stages for the blower fan speed, which low, medium, and high at constant temperature. The sound of the blower can be heard differently at different stages. The readings are not stable, and to make the reading taken be accurate, the data have to be taken every 5 minutes for 15 minutes. The discharge pressure will increase when the fan speed is increased.
So next, I will proceed to the conclusion of this topic. First one is our group managed to achieve all the objectives of this practice. Uh, the objective have been mentioned before by Naufal. So from the practice, also we able to produce the pH diagrams for three different conditions, which is low fan speed, medium fan speed, and high fan speed. From the diagram, you can observe the effect of evaporator fan speed towards the system performance. So for the recommendation of this topic, the first one is because of the reading on the training machine unstable, make sure to take the reading at interval 5 minutes for 15 minutes. Next one is make sure to follow all the standard of procedure given to make sure the data collected are accurate. The third one is avoid using the training machine carelessly because it can cause damage to the training machine. And the last one is make sure to wear suitable uniform while conducting the experiment. That's all from us. Thank you. So next one, we will proceed to the second topic, which is aircon compressor evaluation. So topic is objective. The first topic is objective. So for the objective of this experiment is the first one is to study the types of compressor and their functions, and the next one is to calculate the compression ratio for each fan speed. Next, theory. One of the critical parameters in compressor design and selection is the compression ratio, often denoted as R. The compression ratio is simply the ratio of the absolute stage discharge pressure to the absolute stage suction pressure. Compression ratio is also important in determining required horsepower. The higher the ratio, the greater the required horsepower for that stage. As you can see in your figure right now, is the compression ratio formula, which is P2 is the absolute discharge pressure and the P1 is absolute suction pressure.
Okay, thank you, Nazmi. Now I will proceed to the discussion. So, as you can see here, it shows a table. The table is the result for the experiment for low fan speed, medium fan speed, and high fan speed. A compressor is a mechanical device that increases the pressure of a gas by reducing its volume. The discharge temperature is higher than the suction temperature because the pressure is increased by the compressor. When the pressure of the gas is increased, the molecule of the gas tend to move faster, thus contribute to a hike in temperature. From the calculation that we have been made, we can see that as the fan speed increase, the compression ratio also increase. The compression ratio also does not affect by time. From the calculation, we can calculate that when the time is varied, the value for compression ratio will be constant for above 5 minutes. Next, for safety precaution, there are three safety precautions. First, ensure that everyone using the equipment or working on the system has been properly trained and is adequate and supervised. Next, use approved equipment when maintaining or servicing the system. And last one, identify the refrigerant in the system correctly before carrying out the work.
Okay, I will continue for the knowledge gain. First, from this topic, we can analyze the behavior of the compressor as the fan speed is varied. Moreover, we can on completing this report, we learn that there are many types of compressor that can be used on specific purpose. And lastly, we learn how to calculate the compression ratio of a compressor in an AC system. Okay, next for the observation. First, in this practice, we have set three different speed of fan speed, which are low fan speed, medium fan speed, and high fan speed. And then second, we observe that all of these fan speed have affected the temperature and pressure of two parameters, which are the inlet and the outlet. And then third, we also observe that the temperature and the pressure of the inlet is decreased as the speed of the fan is increased, while the temperature and the pressure of the outlet is increased as the fan speed of the fan is increased. And lastly, the data of the temperature and the pressure of the inlet and the outlet were taken 3 times and interval of the 5 minutes in the order to get the most precise result.
Conclusion. For the conclusion, first, our group managed to achieve all the objectives of the practice, which are to understand about the compressor type, the function of each component, and able to calculate the compression ratio. Second, we are able to use the data from the trainer machine, which are the temperature and inlet and outlet pressure, to calculate the compression ratio, thus make us fully understanding on how the HVAC system works. Third, from the practice, we assume it was an ideal system due to the insufficient measuring device. Fourth, the compressor ratio that we obtain are for three types of fan speed, which is low fan speed, medium fan speed, and high fan speed. Fifth, the reading only been taken at three time frames, which is 5, 10, and 50 minutes. Lastly, from this, we are able to get compressor ratio for 9 different setup. Okay, for the recommendation for the practice. First, take note on time to make sure the data are taken precisely in 5 minutes time interval to avoid the data collected being inaccurate. Second, use the trainer carefully to avoid damaging the trainer machine which will be used by teachers. Okay, that's the end. Thank you for listening.